Beneath Berlin, something terrifying was hidden. The Nazis built bunkers so deep, they're still being discovered today. One bunker went down 12 stories, deeper than anyone thought possible. But here's what they don't tell you about these underground fortresses. Some held secrets darker than the war itself. And one bunker, it was never meant to be found. What they buried down there still haunts historians to this very day. The discovery. In 1945, Allied soldiers entered Berlin. They thought they knew what they would find. Ruins, rubble, destroyed buildings everywhere. But then they found something else. Deep below the city streets, there were bunkers. Not just regular bomb shelters. These were massive underground fortresses. Some went down 30 meters into the earth. Others went even deeper. The deeper they went, the stranger things became. One bunker had 12 floors underground, 12 full stories beneath the surface. Think about that for a moment. But here's what nobody expected. These weren't just hiding spots during bombings. They were built for something much bigger, something the Nazis planned in secret. And the deepest bunker? It held secrets that would shock the world, secrets that some people tried to bury forever. What were they hiding down there in the darkness? The answer is more disturbing than you think. The construction. Building these bunkers was incredibly difficult. Berlin sits on soft, sandy ground. Digging deep was dangerous and expensive. So why did the Nazis do it anyway? They used thousands of forced laborers. These workers came from concentration camps. Many of them never made it out alive. The construction started in 1940. Hitler wanted protection from Allied bombs. But he wanted something else, too. A place to control everything, even underground. The main bunker took over 4 years to build. It used more concrete than entire city blocks. The walls were 3 meters thick in some places. Nothing could break through those walls. Not bombs, not artillery, nothing. Workers dug deeper and deeper every month. They hit water tables and underground rivers. But they kept going anyway. One engineer said the project felt cursed. Men died in collapses almost every week. But the Nazis didn't stop. They couldn't stop, because what they were planning required absolute secrecy, and depth was the only way to guarantee it. The Führerbunker. The most famous bunker was Hitler's own. It's called the Führerbunker. This was where Hitler spent his final days. It sat 8 meters below the Reich Chancellery Garden, 2 floors underground, 55 rooms in total. Hitler moved there in January 1945. He never left again. The bunker became his prison and his tomb. But this wasn't the deepest bunker in Berlin, not even close. The Führerbunker was actually quite shallow. So why do people talk about it so much? Because of what happened there in April 1945. Hitler's final moments took place in that bunker. But there were other bunkers beneath Berlin. Bunkers that went much, much deeper. Bunkers that most people never heard about. These bunkers had different purposes. They weren't just for hiding from bombs. They were for command, control, and something darker. One bunker went down 12 full stories. That's deeper than most buildings are tall. What was down there at the bottom? The answer connects to experiments nobody talks about. The deepest one. The deepest bunker was called Bunker Zossen. Actually, it wasn't in Berlin proper. It sat 30 kilometers south of the city. But this bunker connected to Berlin underground, through tunnels, through communication lines. It was part of the same system. Bunker Zossen went down 12 stories. Some reports say even deeper than that. The lowest levels were completely secret. This bunker was the communications center. It coordinated the entire German military. Every order, every movement went through here. The walls were 4 meters thick. It could survive a direct nuclear blast. Yes, they were already thinking about atomic weapons. Over 3,000 people worked inside. They never saw sunlight for months. The air was recycled through massive filters. But here's the disturbing part. The lowest 3 floors were restricted. Even high-ranking officers couldn't go down there. Only a handful of people had access.
What they found inside. When Allied forces finally entered these bunkers, they were shocked. The scale was beyond anything they imagined. Miles of corridors, hundreds of rooms, underground cities. Inside, they found command centers still running. Maps covered the walls. Communication equipment hummed with electricity. But they also found stranger things. Medical equipment in the deep levels. Laboratories that didn't make sense for military command. In one bunker, they found tanks filled with liquid. The liquid was frozen by the time soldiers arrived. Nobody could explain what it was for. Files were scattered everywhere. Most were burned before the Nazis fled, but some survived in locked safes. These files mentioned experiments, human experiments conducted in underground facilities. The details were horrifying. One report described a chamber on the lowest floor. It was designed for extreme pressure testing. Testing on what? The file didn't say. Another document mentioned refrigeration units, but not for food or medicine, for something biological. American intelligence classified everything immediately. Most of it remains classified even today. Why? The underground network. These bunkers didn't stand alone. They were all connected through tunnels. An entire underground network beneath Berlin. Some tunnels stretched for kilometers. They connected government buildings to military command centers. Leaders could travel across the city without going above ground. The subway system was part of this network too. The Nazis converted sections for military use. Entire stations became storage facilities and shelters. But the deepest tunnels went to places not on any map. Secret facilities that only a few people knew existed. Facilities where experiments happened away from everyone. One tunnel allegedly connected to a weapons research facility. This facility was 15 stories underground. Workers there developed advanced technology. Some historians believe the Nazis tested early rocket systems underground. Others think something darker happened there, something involving biological research. After the war, the Soviets controlled East Berlin. They explored these tunnels extensively. They found things they never reported publicly. One Soviet officer's diary mentioned a sealed chamber. It was welded shut from the outside. They never opened it. That chamber is still there today, supposedly. Modern discoveries. Even today, people keep finding new bunkers. Construction crews hit them while gigging for buildings. Subway expansions uncover sealed passages. In 2015, workers found a bunker under a parking lot. It had been hidden for 70 years. Nobody knew it existed. Inside, they found medical supplies from the 1940s, surgical tools, bandages, strange glass containers, and something else that confused everyone. There were reinforced doors leading even deeper, but those doors were sealed with concrete. Someone didn't want anyone going further down. The German government closed the site immediately. They said it was unsafe, but researchers believe there's another reason. What's behind those sealed doors? Some experts think there are more levels below, levels that were classified even during the war. In 2019, ground-penetrating radar detected more structures, deep cavities that don't match any known bunker. These are 35 meters down. That's deeper than the Führerbunker, deeper than most official bunkers. So what are they? The government won't allow excavation. They say it's too dangerous. But researchers believe there's another reason. The unanswered questions. Why did the Nazis build so deep? Protection from bombs doesn't require 12 stories underground. There had to be another reason. Some historians believe Hitler planned to continue the war underground. He thought Germany could fight from below ground indefinitely. A whole military command living like moles beneath the earth. But others think the deep levels had a different purpose. Research that couldn't be done anywhere else. Research that required complete isolation. The documents that survived mentioned code names, names like Project Kronos and Deep Shield. Nobody knows what these projects actually were. American and Soviet intelligence took most records. They've never been declassified. Some may never be released. Today, tourists can visit some of the shallow bunkers. They walk through Hitler's final rooms. They see where history ended for the Nazi regime. But the deepest bunkers remain sealed, locked away from the public, hidden beneath modern Berlin like buried secrets. What's still down there in the darkness? What experiments happened on those lowest floors? And why won't governments let anyone look? The deepest bunkers keep their secrets still. 70 years later, some questions have no answers.